Well, another thing, just in like a side, another thing I thought was kind of funny. I was just looking at the filings, and there's a whole whack load of insiders in this company that sold all their shares in the 50s and 60s. Like, I was just looking, I was just like, I wonder what these people are doing because like they know the company's bankrupt, and I was just looking, I was like, oh, I like clicked the first one, I'm like, oh, so and so who's on the board had like 3,500 shares, sold every single one at $60. So and so, this other person had 5,000 shares, sold every single one at $55. I'm just like, hmm, take
Curious.
reading that. You know,
What's the time frame from like that the highest peak till when those guys sold? Like roughly, like was that like a few weeks?
what is this? The second? I'm not sure when it was exact. I think it was up in this consolidation here.
Yeah.
Most of them were getting out because they had this. Because I think obviously the people that are in the company are the ones that are. Hold on here. The
Because I
people
have
that
a strong. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say the people that are in the company, like they just want to sell their shares for as high as possible because it's a bankrupt company, right? So like at this point, they're trying to get out for as much money as they can before the thing basically goes back to zero or they file for bankruptcy. So like if it was me and I was an insider, like I see this huge move, you have this big Twitter following, and then it tanks here. I'm still going to hold on because I don't know if it's going to go up to 100 or whatever. And then once you see, I think what happened probably, from what I know anyways, is we had this first line, remember that first upward trend line that we kind of drew like somewhere around here. So I think what happened is we had this big spike, it came down, they were all kind of waiting. And then when we broke here, we had this next move up and all the insiders were selling into this because to that, like, I mean, that's what I would do because I'm looking at this, I'm saying, okay, now we're in the backside of the move. So let's get the hell out of here while we're still in the 50s and 60s and, before this thing falls back down. So I think that's probably what happened. I mean, that's, as a technical play, that would make the most sense to me anyways.
This would have been a good question for Brandon, but I know there's SEC requires reporting for them to sell, so I can't remember if they have to report like a certain amount of time before they sell, because it would be really weird if they're like sold at the top, right? Because they have insider information, they're acting on it. So I think they're restricted with like say just I'm just pulling out a number, say like 2 weeks before you plan to sell, you have to report it to the SEC.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering because if that period there, like they saw the first peak and it looks like they didn't break it and it didn't hit that diagonal, they're like, oh shit. Then they're like, I'm gonna sell, and then they wait for 2 weeks later, like dump. Like that's why I
Yeah.
did that kind of double top thing, right?
Yeah, I think that is because I remember I saw people tweeting saying that like, oh, so and so like insiders have sold all their shares now and the stock still hasn't gone down. So this is like great news for us because it's not diluting it or whatever. And I'm sitting over here like, okay, everybody that's working at this company is dumping all their shares. That's not good news. I'm sorry.
That's not good news. And it's like I don't even think it's good news that the price didn't tank. That means people like regular buying it at that price, which
Yeah.
tells me there's less money to be buying it at a lower price.
I know. The whole thing is just yeah. But I mean, the funny thing is though, like I didn't trade this for the longest time. Like I said, I've been kind of like I've been swinging this thing short for the past few weeks now since it's broken down. But like I didn't touch it for the longest time because I've never seen that much activity on a stock. Like on Twitter, I didn't know what it was going to do. I don't know. Everybody's talking about all these option squeezes and this and that, and there's all these naked short. Like I don't know any of that stuff. I just don't, right? But like I can still make money doing what I do and. Like I've been shorting AMC for weeks, making money, knowing what I know, and I don't know any of this other stuff that all these guys are talking about. So like to me, that tells me that this chart just trades technically like any other chart. So like moving forward, I'm just going to trade this as if I would trade any other stock because it's shown me now that it's just going to do what these stocks do, which is just follow the trend lines, follow the horizontal lines until it gets low enough that there's not any more trades to be had.
Yeah, I noticed that with most stocks actually they're all pretty technical. Sometimes you have to zoom out a little, sometimes you have to zoom in a little, but you'll usually find that they do trade pretty technical. They'll listen to the right levels and trend lines and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
I think it's more so just like those initial moves, like the initial runs that are kind of you just kind of sit back and watch. But then once it kind of settles itself out, then it just becomes the same old technical line to line. And well, like we just kind of proved it. Like I had my horizontal and my trend lines, and use your Fibonacci's, and we lined up almost to the penny.
yeah,
Where you're trying to dip by, and where I'm saying it's probably going to base and turn around.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
That just goes right there, right?
I love this stuff. There's so many different strategies, but I love it when we talk in the chat and we have the same numbers with different methods. I'm like, okay, that's when I gotta
Yeah,
act.
then we know we're good.